Hey there, I'm so excited to start showing homes with you and also for you to become a client of mine. Before we tour any properties, I'll need your signatures on a few documents. It's nothing overwhelming, it's just the standard forms that make sure we're all protected and on the same page. My goal is to make sure you feel clear, confident, and never confused about what you're signing or what to expect. I'm all about complete transparency, honest conversations, and a game plan you can trust. Let's walk through it together, piece by piece. Okay, so first up is a required form called the Disclosure of Real Estate Brokerage Relationships. This is not a contract, it's just a legal explanation of how real estate agents work in South Carolina. The law says I need to give you this to you before we get into anything serious, like showing you homes or talking about offers. In real estate, you're either a customer or a client. If you haven't signed anything yet, you're considered a customer. That means I can be honest and helpful, but I don't work for you. I can't give you any advice or fight for your best deal. When you sign a buyer agency agreement, which is what we're going to talk about next, you become a client. That's when I officially represent you. I'll give you advice, negotiate for you, and look out for your best interests. Now, there's something called transaction brokerage. This means I'm helping you with paperwork and basic steps, but not representing either side. I'm just helping move the deal forward. If you choose to be my client, which is pretty much the only way I work, and it's how, like, you have to sign the buyer agency agreement, I give you higher level services like advice, confidentiality, and full on negotiating power. You're not locked into anything unless we both agree in writing, and you're in control of our relationship the whole time. If I only represent you, that's called single agency. Easy, right? Dual agency is when the same brokerage represents both buyer and seller. I'll never do this without talking to you first and getting your written permission. Disclosed dual agency simply means we've signed the paperwork to make dual agency official. Everyone involved knows this and agrees to it. I can't give either side an advantage, and I can't share private info like how low a seller might go or how high a buyer might be willing to offer. It's all about keeping it fair and professional. If another agent from my firm represents the other side, that's called designated agency. It's the same firm, same brokerage, LLC, excuse me, Real Broker LLC, different agents. And we both still work to get the best for our clients. We both have the fiduciary duties at hand. So the bottom line is this: you have a choice. You can stay as a customer or you could become a client. But the reality is, I only work as a client relationship. When you become, and if you don't want to work as a client relationship, that's fine. But when you become a client, you get full support, advice, confidentiality, and someone looking out for you the entire way. By signing this disclosure form, you're not committing to me just yet, but you will in just a minute. You're just saying, I've explained how this all works. All right. So let me go to the actual, and at the end, you're going to sign at the bottom right there. So let me go to the actual agreement. So the next form is for us to get into a client relationship. It's called exclusive right to buy buyer agency contract. Section 1 of this contract is where we officially team up. When you sign this agreement, you're saying that I, as your realtor, am the only person you'll work with to find and buy a home in the area we talk about in the next section. That means if another agent or even a seller reaches out to you directly, you'll send them my way so I can handle it for you. This helps protect you because now I'm the one negotiating, scheduling, asking questions, and making sure everything goes smoothly. If it involves a home you're interested in, I'm your go to person and I've got your back. Section 2 is where we talk about what you're looking for. Are you buying a house, a condo, land, maybe something else? We'll check the correct box so it's clear. We'll also write in what type of property you're interested in, like how many bedrooms, do you want a fenced-in yard, maybe something on a half acre. We'll fill in as much detail as possible. We'll also fill in your price range, the general area you want to live in, and anything else that's important to you. This part helps me narrow down the search and tailor everything to your specific goals. It's like your home shopping wish list in writing. All right, section 3 talks about how long this agreement lasts. It starts the day we both sign it and it ends on the day we write it in or when you close on the home, whichever comes later. Now, here's the important part. Once we sign, this agreement can only be ended early if we both agree to it in writing. That means we'd both have to sign another form to cancel our relationship, our working relationship. So neither of us can just walk away on our own. We're committing to work together for this set period unless we both decide to end it early, the right way, which is in a separate form. Section 4 is about what I promise to do for you as your agent. This section says I'll do my absolute best to find you and show you homes that fit your needs, tour properties with you and help analyze them, help you write offers and negotiate terms. I'll come up with comps for you. I'll point out all kinds of things. I'll work with the seller's agent to make the deal happen. And if you ask, I'll handle many other tasks needed to help you successfully buy a home. More often than not, I'm going to do things for you before you even know you need them done. Now, here's something important. I won't tell you my services are free. I don't work for free. This is my full-time job, my career. Even if you don't pay me directly, I still get paid, usually by the seller. If the seller doesn't pay me and we cannot come up with an alternative payment structure, we'll go our separate ways. Although I've never seen that happen. Section 5 starts by confirming that we've already gone over the South Carolina Agency Relationship Disclosure Form. That's what I just went over. That's the form where I explain the different types of agency relationships, such as the distinction between clients and customers and the various roles agents can play in a real estate deal. We always review that before we move forward, so you're informed right from the start. So I'll have you initial that. And then the rest of the section is asking you to initial your permission regarding dual agency and designated agency. I went over that as well. Dual agency is when one agent, when I would be like me, represents both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. Now, this is legal in South Carolina, but it means I'd have to stay neutral and can't give you as much personal advice. I've done this before, but I always like to take this on a case-by-case basis based on who my clients are on each side, the buy and sell side. The designated agency is when I still represent you, but someone else in my brokerage represents the seller. That way, we both stay fully loyal to our clients. I've done that many times. It's very common. Now, here's my take on this. I usually have my clients initial the options that say may be considered. That way, we're not committing to anything today, but if a situation like this comes up, you and I can talk it through and make the best decision for you in that moment. You'll still get a separate agreement to sign if you do decide to allow it, so nothing happens without your full knowledge and approval. Section 6 is all about what you're agreeing to do as the buyer. It says that while we're working together under this agreement, you agree to do all your home search and real estate activity only through me, your agent. That means if you want to tour a home, ask questions about a property, or make an offer, you go through me, not Zillow, not calling the listing agent, not another realtor. This keeps things clean, legal, and ensures I can advocate for you every step of the way. It also says you're not working under any other buyer agreements with other agents for the same kind of home in the same area during the same time. Now, if you were, you could end up owing multiple agents, me and the other person, a commission, and no one wants that. And finally, you're permitting me to share this agreement with the closing attorney to keep the paperwork tight and transparent. All right, section 7 is about how I get paid, and more importantly, when that happens. It says that once I help you find a home and you're officially under contract to buy it, whether I showed it to you, scheduled a tour, or enabled you to negotiate, I've earned my fee. And usually I'll have done all of those things plus more for you. However, there may be a time when I'm unavailable to schedule and show a home for you because I'm sick or out of town. There's various reasons, but I will always negotiate for you. That fee is usually paid at closing, not directly from your pocket. And in most cases, it comes from the seller side, or in rare cases, it's built into the deal. But if something goes sideways and you default, meaning you break the contract without any legal reason, then I'd still be owed that fee and it would need to be paid by you. But let me be real, let's be honest. If you get out of a purchase for whatever reason, however much that would hurt me financially due to the time and energy I put into helping you, I would never ask you to compensate me because if we didn't make it to the closing table, I mean, I didn't really do my job. It's a risk I take at working as a realtor, and I'm totally fine with that. This part also makes it clear that my fee is not set by law, it's fully negotiable, and we decide the exact amount together. It's written in the next section of this contract. Basically, we're just putting it in writing so everything is clear. Now let's talk about compensation, which we kind of already have. But that's how I get paid for all the work I do helping you find, negotiate, and close on home. There are three different ways we can outline the broker fee in this section. A percentage of the gross purchase price. This is the most common. A flat fee where we write in a specific dollar amount, or a custom option if something else applies. Here's how I like to fill out this section. I always put 3% for the broker fee, and in the bonus section just below, I add 2%. That gives us flexibility. Now, let me explain why I do that. If it turns out that I'm offered less than that amount, let's say 2.5%, I can always go back and amend this agreement down to reflect that. That's very easy to do. But if we write a lower number in this agreement and later it turns out that the compensation offered is higher, for example, a builder provides a 4% commission, which I'm in a contract right now where they did, it's much harder to go back and increase it after the fact. So by writing 3% plus the 2% bonus, we cover our bases without locking us in. And remember, this doesn't come out of your pocket. The seller or the listing brokerage pays the commission in nearly all of the transactions I'm in. Actually, every transaction I've been in has been paid by the seller. This section just ensures that I'm authorized to collect what's being offered. All right, let's talk about the part that mentions retainer and administration fees. I do not charge a retainer fee. This means I'm not asking you to pay anything upfront just for working with me. Buying a home already comes with a lot of out-of-pocket expenses. So I don't believe in adding to that stress. Now, the next section is about administration fees, which, again, some agents charge as an extra fee due at closing by the buyer, even if you don't end up buying a home. I want you to know I don't charge any admin fees. My goal is to make this process as financially smooth as possible for you. I get compensated when we get to the closing table. So you'll notice in the digital signatures, I'll leave both of these sections blank. That way you can focus all your money on getting inspections, paying for appraisals, paying attorney fees, and all the other fees buyers get hit with nowadays. My mission is to serve you well. I don't want to nickel and dime you. All right, let's talk about this section on credit to buyer at closing. While the agreement gives us the option to ask the seller to cover my commission as part of your closing costs, I want you to know upfront, I never do that. I will never request that my compensation come out of the money you're asking the seller to cover for your closing costs. Instead, I handle this in a different way. I submit a separate compensation form that clearly outlines how I'll be paid. This is totally independent from the contract. the purchase and sale contract from your side of the transaction, and it keeps everything super clean, transparent, and stress-free. It's just one more way I make sure you're fully protected. The next section talks about something called direct seller or listing broker to buyer broker compensation. It's a little redundant, but here's how I handle this in my business. I always ask the seller to pay my full commission. I request 3% commission unless I know it's different when submitting the offer using the separate compensation form that I just referred to. This form is official, it's submitted with your offer, and it clearly states that I expect my fee to come from the seller. I don't expect you, the buyer, to pay for my compensation. Again, I come from a consumer's perspective. I don't believe in piling on another fee when you're trying to build wealth. Now, in the rare case where a seller absolutely refuses to pay any buyer broker compensation, I will come to you and say, hey, do you still want to move forward with this home? Do you still want to buy this home? If you do, we can absolutely talk through what's comfortable for you regarding compensation. We'll talk about your budget and we can make a custom agreement. It's not about pressuring you. I don't want to pressure you. I will say this. I haven't had to negotiate my compensation from a buyer yet, and I do not foresee it happening in the future. My role is to advocate for you, not charge you. Lastly, this section confirms that if the seller does pay any part of my compensation, it reduces any amount you'd be responsible for. But in my case and how I do business, that's always zero. So rest easy, I've got you covered. Let's talk about the protection period. This is a standard part of the agreement, and it's designed to ensure that the time and energy I invest into helping you find your dream home, that time is respected. Here's what it means. If our agreement ends and within 60 days, as I always include this amount of days in this section, you end up buying a home that I showed you while we were working together, the brokerage is still owed the fee outlined in Section 7. Why 60 days? Because sometimes people need to hit pause or take a step back, and that's totally okay. But if the home you chose is one that I introduced you to, scheduled and attended showings for, and gave you insight on, I want to make sure that work is recognized, even if we're not under a relationship anymore, a client relationship anymore. It's all about being fair for both of us. All right, Section 8. Let's talk about this part titled Other Buyers. It just means that as your agent, I may also be working with other clients who are looking in the same neighborhoods, maybe the same price points, or even at the same house. But here's my promise to you. I will never share your confidentiality with anybody else. Your confidential info, never. Not your budget. I'll never share your strategy, and definitely not what you're willing to offer, just like I won't tell them yours. If I ever realize that two of my clients are seriously considering the same property, I'll immediately give you a disclosure form so everything stays transparent. You'll always know what's going on, and I'll never pit my clients against each other. My loyalty is to you, and I take that extremely serious, like so seriously. Section 9. This next part is short but super powerful. It's all about fair housing. I don't just follow the law here. I lean into this topic with absolute love. I treat every client with the same level of respect, dedication, and advocacy. No matter your race, color, religion, sex, disability, family status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity, you are going to be loved by me and you are going to feel it. I promise you. We're going to play by the rules, not just because it's required, but because it's right. I'm here to make sure this process feels safe, fair, and empowering for you every step of the way. Okay, Section 10. This next part is just an FYI. South Carolina requires us to let you know that if you're concerned about safety and want to check the sex offender registry, you totally can, and I oftentimes encourage it. I have kids. I would absolutely want to know if a neighbor was a sex offender. I can't legally do it for you though, but you can look up any address or neighborhood at score.sled.sc.gov. It's a good step for peace of mind, especially if you've got kiddos or just want to feel extra secure in your decision. Think of this as a resale situation too. If another buyer is looking this up and you didn't do this and there is a sex offender there, that could hurt your resale. And I'm always going to encourage you to consider resale. Section 11, just a quick note here. This confirms that I gave you the South Carolina disclosure of broker relationships and explained all the ways I can present to you. Basically, I've gone over how agency works and what my responsibilities are to you as your realtor. You're not signing anything blindly. We've talked through it, and I'm here to guide you through the whole process, start to finish. Section 12. This part just says that I can't be held responsible for things outside of my control, especially things like wire fraud or cybercrime, which unfortunately do happen sometimes. And I'll go over that later. The law limits my liability to only what I've earned in compensation unless there's gross negligence involved, which I work hard to avoid at all costs. To protect yourself, always follow the wire instructions directly from your closing attorney. And if anything seems off, call before clicking. And I'll give you some steps later on in this presentation. Section 13, just a heads up. When we're touring homes, assume we're being watched and listened to. It happens all the time where I look up and I see that there's a camera staring at us. Many sellers have cameras or audio surveillance set up, like a ring door camera or indoor nanny cams, or just clear cameras straight there for everybody to see. And they might be recording. And most likely they are recording. I have a seller right now that listens to every single showing, every single person that comes in. And I tell them, I said, that's the best feedback you can get. You know exactly what they're saying. So, as a buyer, if you've got thoughts, ideas, or questions, save them for when we're back in the car or off the property. I want to protect your negotiation power and your privacy. Section 14. I'm your real estate expert. This is my full-time gig, and I'm passionate about it. But I'm not your lawyer, tax advisor, contractor, or home inspector. While I'll help guide you through the home buying process and connect you with trusted professionals, I always recommend getting separate advice from the right experts when it comes to legal questions, home repairs, or financing details. Basically, I've got the real estate part covered. The rest is a team effort. Section 15 goes over any contingencies that we might have. I don't include any contingencies in this agreement. Section 16, this paper is the whole agreement between you and me. Everything we're agreeing to is written right here. If anything needs to be added or changed later, we both have to agree to it in writing and we both have to sign it. Just talking about it will not count. It has to be written down and signed by both of us. Section 17, if we want to make any changes to this agreement later and to any contract that we sign going forward, we both have to write them down and sign them. Verbal changes do not count. It has to be official and in writing. We are at the end of this agreement. We made it. This last part in bold just states that this is a legal agreement. So if anything in this document is confusing or doesn't make sense, please don't hesitate to ask me questions. I'm here for you. That's what I'm here for. By signing this, you're saying that both you and I have received a copy of this agreement and the South Carolina Disclosure of Real Estate Brokerage Relationships form. You're also permitting me to reach out using the phone number and email address that you have provided. Then you sign the boxes here, and I sign the box at the bottom, and we initial all the pages. And then, my friend, We are official. All right, let me go to the next form. So the next form talks about the buyer broker commission disclosure. And I'll be honest with you, it's absolutely redundant based on what we just went over, but my brokerage requires me to have you sign this form. Ever since this big class action lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors, we've been asked to be as transparent as possible about how we, as the buyer agents, get paid. This form basically repeats what I've already covered in your buyer agency agreement. I ask for 3% commission. Most of the time, the seller or the listing agent offers to pay that. But if they don't, this form gives you the heads up that we may need to negotiate that as part of your offer. And don't worry, if the seller isn't offering compensation and you don't want to pay it, I won't move forward unless we talk about it first and agree on a solution that fits your budget. This form doesn't lock you into anything new. It's just reinstating in plain language what we've already agreed to. So there are no surprises, total transparency. All right, let's go to the next form. Okay, here we have the Real Broker ABA disclosure, affiliated business arrangement. This is a fancy way of saying Real Broker has business relationships with a mortgage company and a title company. That means if I recommend them to you, it's because they're good. I love Matt Scalisi. He's one of my absolute favorite lenders. He is like 22 years in the industry and he just knows every product there is out there and he's a broker. But also because I just want you to have a great mortgage broker. You're never required to use Matt. I never use our title company, but I will always send you a list of 3 lenders to interview and choose. And I always recommend that you just choose a lender who you enjoy talking to and you feel like you connect with. Um, like I said, you can shop around. And you can also shop around for closing attorneys. If I haven't already, I'll send you a list of lenders who always support my clients to the best of their ability. And just remember, no matter what lender you choose, I get no compensation for it. I just want to make sure that we can get to the closing table and who you choose as a lender definitely matters because they can absolutely hurt deals. I've seen it happen over and over again. All right, let's go to the next tab. So this is the wire fraud warning. Okay, let's talk about something that's unfortunately becoming common in real estate, wire fraud. This form may feel a little dramatic, but it's here to protect you. And honestly, I've seen it happen in my own client's situation. I had a past client who got an email that looked completely real. The scammers copied both my email signature and the lender's signature. Everything looked completely legit. The only difference was one letter in the email address. That's how sneaky these people are. Luckily, my client had a gut feeling that something fell off. They called me and we caught it before any money was sent. Thank God. But not everyone's that lucky. So here are 3 easy steps to protect yourself from wire fraud. Step 1, always verify wire instructions by phone, but don't call the number from an email. Scammers fake those. Instead, Google the law firm and call the number that is on their Google business profile. Step 2, be suspicious of last-minute changes. If you get new wiring instructions or a change in the bank account out of nowhere, that's a red flag. Stop and call before doing anything. Step 3, trust your gut. If anything feels fishy, a weird tone, grammar mistake, or something just seems off, take a pause, call me, call the lender, contact the closing attorney. We're here to help. I never want to scare you, but I do want you to be informed. Wire fraud is real, but it's also preventable. If we stay alert and follow these steps, we can keep our money safe. All right, that wraps up everything you need to know about working with me as your buyer's agent. I know this was a lot of information, but I want you to feel confident, protected, and supported every step of the way. If you have any questions, I'm always just a call, text, or email away. Buying a home is such a big deal, and it should feel exciting, not overwhelming. That's why I'm here, and we'll do this together. Thank you for trusting me with this journey, and I appreciate you more than you know. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited to guide you through this process. Now, let's go find you a home. Talk to you soon.